Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 9 of the Road to 2100 series. In this series, we play a series of rapid games on the grind to the 2100 ELO rating on Lichess. So yesterday was the Lichess Marathon, a pretty big tournament for me. I played about 15 hours. And the tournament's 24 hours. I got a pretty good rank, which I'm happy with. And I imagine most of you watching here probably have played the Lichess Marathon before, or maybe just discovered about it from me saying it. Well, whatever the scenario, we are all here to watch me probably miserably fail since I'm pretty tired from playing 15 hours of chess, or maybe succeed from a little bit of marathon luck. Who knows, So, without further ado, let us begin with the first 10 plus 0 rapid game. And I might be a bit tired. Haven't really played since the marathon. Looks like our first opponent is a 1900 rated player. Let's go e5, so we get a pre-move King's Gambit. That's really weird because if I played d5, I'm not sure really. Maybe they play f4 against everything. So let's just take that. I mean, imagine playing f4 against everything, though. Like e4, scan d, f4, e5, king's pawn, f4, Sicilian f4. Okay, we got knight f3. So, I have been looking into this line, the Fischer variation of the King's Gambit. And, there's something in my eye, sorry. Okay, so this is a pretty popular variation named after the person who popularized it, which is, of course, Fischer. And we get d4. Here, the point is that now we got our bishop out, and d6 is controlling some of the center here. So this is kind of very common, d4 and bishop c4. We get castled, so this is also a common sacrifice. And yeah, it does look really risky, but it does kind of make sense after you see that here that white has basically all their material pointed here, and we have basically moved nothing else. I mean, what do I mean basically? We've moved nothing else in pawns. So, this is, I think, the best continuation if you're going to play this kind of line here. And so there is kind of a dilemma whether to capture or not. Usually h6 is better than g4, but I just wanted to show you guys a game where you kind of go a bit risky and are allowing your opponent to gain a slight advantage potentially. So I am just going to take here, since after you came all this way, it kind of doesn't make sense to not take. And now we have to deal with this kind of thing. So we're up a knight, so it doesn't really matter if we lose this f4 pawn. Our top priority now is not the f4 pawn. It's our king. So in a best case scenario, we get to trade off queens, and we are completely winning. So on the trading off idea, of course, the more pieces we trade off, the easier it'll be for us to defend and win, if we win. So firstly, queen f6 looks appealing, but I don't know the theory here. I just know that this is kind of a common thing. There might be e5, and if you take, there's a rookie one at the, wait, no, there's not. Okay, let's just go with this. So again, our idea is just to try to trade off queens. So you can't really take with the queen here. So taking with the bishop is mandatory. But if he takes with the bishop, assuming he does take, or she, I don't know. I'm just gonna, no offense, I'm just gonna assume everybody's a he, okay? I'm just kind of used to it. And like, you'll kind of have to deal with it. So they do defend the d4 pawn, and if they take with the bishop, then the bishop on c4 hangs. But I'm not saying you can't do that, because there might be some tactics on f7. Again, our position is very weak. But now, since they wasted time on c3, we can further defend the pawn with bishop h6. And now, you'll realize that taking the pawn would lead to a series of trades, which would leave us in a completely winning position, because we would eventually trade queens. So instead, our opponent correctly doesn't take the pawn, which is maybe not the best, not the ideal scenario for white here, but has to be done. And queen h5. So kind of another move which can be easily deflected. Something simple like queen g6. Maybe that's the only move, I don't know. But just stay simple. There's nothing the queen can do here, because the queen is a powerful piece, but against like a whole army over here, a whole queenside army, and we can't forget that white's king is also kind of coming under fire here with bishop h3 and various f3 ideas. So it's not going to do anything against an army of a rook, a knight, a bishop, and 4 pawns. It just can't, because it simply doesn't have the firepower to beat that many pieces. And anyway, even just since we're just talking about defending, even just a bishop and a knight would be able to hold off the queen. So here, simply just don't freak out and move your king, just play c6 and gain a tempo on the queen, and then bishop h3 is going to come. And see, it might seem scary at first, but your opponent might not even be able to convert the advantage. So, similar to what's happening here, our opponent doesn't seem to be able to convert their kind of pressure on this f7 pawn, and inadvertently, they actually ran into an attack of our own, which is kind of cool, I guess. I don't know why I said I guess. So the only thing we have to be careful of is bishop h3 before you go on like pre-moving bishop h3, is that b7 is hanging. So after rook f2, we cannot go something crazy like f3. Well, I guess you can, you'd have to calculate, but just stay simple and play like b6 there. So just wanted to inform you of that. And basically, our king is under no pressure here. This bishop and queen can't do anything while this pawn stands in the way. And as I mentioned earlier, this pawn, if you take it, it'll come with trades, and it would actually lose the game here because the rook needs to defend g2. So remember about my warning, let's just go b6, and this looks kind of wonky, but our main attention isn't over here for now. It's all the way over here on the king side. So it does seem a bit difficult to continue, but you have to think about what pieces in the white position that can't move. So white's pieces will start getting into the game, and so to prevent that, you'll have to create some threats here. So for example, let's bring our knight out to f6. This is a multi-purpose move. We're looking to jump into g4 and potentially e4, and we are preparing rook g8. And suddenly, you'll notice the pressure is mounting on the white king. And the rule of defenders, by the way, if you have more attackers than defenders, then your attack will be successful. And as you can see, all of white's pieces are straight over here in the king side. And, I mean, just one defender, maybe the knight will come in. Even two I'll count for you. There's like 3... This knight's about to come in, and this rook's about to come in. So there's no way white can win this battle. And they immediately have to give up this pawn. So we can just take the pawn, free pawn. I mean, there's no catches at all. And after something like rook e2, which is practically forced, okay, we got a different move. Interesting. So, kind of practically force was a bit, over the top, but I think this is kind of wonky from white. I don't know why I keep on saying wonky. Okay, this is kind of weird from white, I guess. So, of course, the queen has to move here. And I'm just inclined to my intuition just says queen g4. And we might have a bit of a problem. Or not. Not really, I guess. Might seem scary, but again, white can't do anything with a queen and a bishop. Because if you had a queen and bishop before, you probably couldn't still, but theoretically, even if you could break through, there's now like a queen that can just swoop in anytime. And yeah. So this is really interesting. Because this just blunders a bishop. Like, oh wait, no, it doesn't. Wait, no, it does. Okay, never mind. So maybe our opponent missed that, but probably not. And I don't know what they're doing. Okay, I'll just... So even if white gets dark in the game, it's way too late. I mean, there's nothing I can do. Queen e6 is just easily met with trade. And I am up 10 points of material here, so yeah, not much we can do here. And we gotta resign for that reason. And so that's our first game. We gained a nice 8 rating points. Wait, is that to our now rating? Yeah, that's now we're 1999. So we're very close to 2000. I think I was already 2000. I just dropped because that's how it always goes. Yeah, I mean. So let's just quickly go over that game because there's some nice moments there. Well, let's see how much accuracy I got. I've recently been getting some high accuracies, like in OTB games, and, well, I couldn't say yesterday, because yesterday was just, like, crazy. 15 hours of chess destroyed my mind after, like, 5 hours. But, yeah, what I'm saying is, I mean, wait, how much do we get? Let's see. Can I see it or no? Hello? Anybody? What? Very weird. We can't seem to see this. I don't know why. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Like, less than no idea. But, I don't know. I guess we'll just assume like 90% accuracy. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself for like not knowing that. Yeah, okay. You know what I mean. So let's just continue with our series and let's go for another rapid game. And our opponent is a 2096 Alia Allen. That was really wrong. Okay, I'm just gonna say Allen Jr. So we got a knight c3. So this is an unconventional opening. I think it's called the Van Geet. I don't remember. And I have to play before this auto boards. Okay. So usually against all the weird stuff down here, Alexa, shut up. Alexa, shut up. I am. Alexa is really annoying. If you haven't figured that out. Okay. Usually against all these weird setups, knight f3 and stuff, I just go d6, e6, my typical King's Indian. Sometimes they transpose. Sometimes something really weird like this happens, And this is bad because, you're just going to war with 2 horses. Yeah, you're not going to win with 2 horses. Sure, you can put a few pawns in the center, but I'm already castled over here, and there's a bishop right there, okay. So now it's kind of interesting how we should continue. Let's think. So let's put our knight on... Well, I don't want white to get c4 in. So let's just play c6 and prevent any kind of knights hopping around here on b5 or here. So now we kind of have to think about our development scheme. Let's play our knight to d7 and attempt to do something. Yeah, this is not gonna work. Okay. So we got our pieces out. So let's play knight d5. And I want to center pawn, kind of, because center pawns are better than flank pawns. And our c pawn now, like by miracle, by chance, ascends and becomes a d pawn. And now you'll notice that actually the e pawns and d pawns are much more powerful, as you'll see here. And in fact, to display this crucial power, I guess, I don't know, something like crucial, important power of the central pawns, we'll see them kind of attack the center. So this is like not a great representation of their power, but actually it is, because they took. And now look at this. Suddenly we've converted both pawns to hanging pawns, which this structure is called, by the way, which is where they're both kind of isolated. They're isolated apart from each other. That doesn't make sense at all. I know, but you know what I mean. So the thing with hanging pawns is that you don't want to make an isolated pawn. Don't go just like d4 and go bam bam and you got an isolated pawn. I guess maybe you could in this scenario since it's pretty well defended. Actually, you know what? Let's go for another huge structural change with an isolated pawn now. And this isolated pawn is usually not very powerful. Well, IQP, this isolated pawn is called, because it's the isolated queen's pawn, which is the most common type of isolated pawn, if you did not know that. And as a recap, an isolated pawn is a pawn with no friends, like you. I'm kidding. With a pawn that has no fellow pawns on either side of it. So, isolated pawns are usually weak because they can't be defended. We still have a hanging pawn structure since it is defended. But they are pretty useful because they kind of do draw the attention of the pieces in general over to the center or wherever your isolated pawn is. And if they get pretty strong the farther they go down the board, like knights, for example. So this queen is probably going to get targeted by the rook here, so I'm just going to quickly move it to b6 over here and put some pressure on b2. So we're still defending this pawn, and we always have a backup rook d8 if we ever need it. And so it does seem like our opponent trades off to an isolated pawn structure. And the goal with the isolated IQP, I don't know why I keep on saying isolated pawn, IQP, is that you should be able to push it down the board without many constraints. The main bottleneck, apart from not being able to be defended by pawns, is that it can be blocked very easily by knights, or optimally by knights, because they are kind of pieces that love outposts. Because usually when you block a pawn with a knight, their fellow pawns that can kick that knight away and get a tempo. But here, this pawn doesn't have any friends like you. For that, I don't know. Okay. So again, I'm just keeping this as a safety kind of thing. We can always go something like d3 and take advantage of this b2 pawn, though it might be a bit risky since white isn't really forced to take and can go something like b3. But for now, let's ensure the safe advance of our IQP over here with something like bishop f5, and let's just protect this d3 square. And here, white can't go bishop d3, of course, because after takes. Their bishop on f4, which I'm not really sure why they played bishop f4 in the first place, but I should be kind of happy because I'm the one who's gaining from that. Will be hanging. So let's just further strengthen our IQP And white is doing some really weird stuff over here, which is definitely not what you're supposed to do. Because simply we can push. And there's nothing really that white can do. Trading off queen/pieces is better for us here. Because as you'll notice, well, maybe it's not. I don't remember. But I should probably remember. What? I mean, I don't think there's a set rule of whether the IQP gets better in the queen in the endgame or not. But anyway, we do have enough pieces, so either way, doesn't really matter. And now we've reached the third rank, where you'll suddenly see that white's pieces are completely drawn to this pawn. And we have enough defenses so that now we can take advantage of white's pieces being placed in that way. So that might seem a lot of gibberish, and it kind of is. But you'll see what I mean shortly, hopefully. Maybe not. So let's go a6. So we're threatening b5 to trap the bishop, and white defends it. So now we'll just take a short think of how to take advantage of white's weak placement. Because as you'll notice, white's rooks are drawn down to protect the pawn. Our rooks aren't. Our rooks have free will. They can move wherever they want. But white's rooks have to stay there. Of course, the rook on d1 can move. But I'm not sure really white is trying to do that. So let's think about the only piece that isn't in the game. Our king over here. So the main bottleneck of our king is that it can only move one square at a time, but we can potentially walk it over to b4 if you think, because then b5 comes in and this bishop is forced to move. Even if it gets safely to a random square, which it probably won't, even if it escapes. Now suddenly our rook can move our rook can move to a different file, and potentially then we can gain some advantage. So let's go for that. And there's really no way white can prevent this plan, because their king, what? I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, that was a really high pitched tone. So their king will take a bit of time to get. Well, yes, not. Wait. Okay, maybe I yapped too much. I don't know. So there is their king we have to take into the equation. But potentially, maybe I'm underestimating the power. I'm not sure. Wait. So let's just calculate. If we go king... Oh, wait. We can't even go king. Oh, that's a problem. So we are kind of running into a slight problem with this king. So how can we solve the issue of... Or do we need to solve... Do we have any tactics over here? Because I don't want to trade off into a rook endgame, which would just be a draw here. Because anyway, we can just safety net and draw. Because we don't have to... Even if white gets that pawn on d3, if we just get into a rook endgame, it's a straight draw, basically. I'm just thinking of ways to win here, basically, not draw. I don't see really any other way than to, like... Because we can't move our king to d6 is the issue, because this hangs then. It's kind of like we just have to let it happen. Or maybe we don't actually. No, because we can't even go bishop e6 because we did this to ourselves. Yeah. So what if we tried to play kind of smart? Oh, we're kind of down on time too. So what if we tried to play a bit smart and after something like king e3, now we... You have no idea. Okay. So kind of major fail here, sadly. Let's just go for some like cheap tricks, I guess, is what you call them. Anyway, there is a forced draw, and I am kind of low on time. Let's just take a draw. This person's like 100 points higher than us anyway. I'll take a draw as a decent result. And we're black, so... Yeah, I'll take that. Wait. They have that. I kind of forgot that. Oh, no. Okay. So usually, of course, the advice that like every person gives is don't trade pieces if you're down material, so I won't. I'll list that advice. Anyway, if we get into a rook endgame again, that's very hard to win when you're up only a pawn. And I completely misclicked there, but it's not really a dangerous misclick. I meant king g7. And, okay, I'm okay with trading off bishops. Because now these pawns are pretty easy bait here. Yeah, these pawns are just goners anyway. Okay, I mean, you can do that, but I'm down on time. Uh-oh, this ain't good. Okay, I'm just... Oh, this is 10 plus 0. I kind of forgot about that. For some reason, I thought that it was 10 plus 5. I don't know why. Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay. Let's do that. I don't know. Trade. That's hanging. They have to protect it. Then we attack b3. Then they can't defend that. No, they have to play rook d3. Then we'll just do that. We really messed up on time here, did we? Let's just give a random check if they don't. So they look like they're invading on the C file, so that's... Oh, no. Okay, yeah. Okay, we lost, yeah. Okay. Good game, Alan Jr. And we we kind of lost because of time. Really bad time management on my part. So to make up for it, let's get the luck of the marathon gods, and let's play 1 plus 0. If we win this game, we will be eternally lucky. If we lose this game, we will not be eternally lucky, but we might be eternally lucky later. So I think I can basically pre-move knight f3. If our opponent actually plays a move, that is. Play a move? Oh, and they abort. I really think it's stupid to do this. I mean, you started a game and you don't play it. You should at least get like resign things. Okay, we have a Mayoster. So we got an... What is happening with my mouse? What is my mouse doing? What is this? Hello? What is my mouse doing? Why is it so bad? Oh my god. This is horrible. What is happening? What is happening? Okay, I'm not playing that. I do not know what my mouse is doing. Absolutely. I don't even know what my mouse is doing. Okay. I don't know what it's doing. Wait. Slight, enter thing here. So let's play one more rapid game, I guess. See what happens. 2061 Ronaldo. No, why did I say Ronaldo? Roldan. Not Ronaldo. So let's go for like a random cheap opening because I kind of am angry off at my mouse. So French, I don't have anything cheap again, so I'm just gonna play Trash, which is kind of cheap, I guess. So since I said cheap, let's just go for like all the space in the center. You know, like a Scandi style French defense. Okay, that's not gonna work. Okay, yeah. Let's just play an out of 3. You know, just optimal position, optimal space down here. So we got the first word move, Queen E7. Not sure what that does. Don't really care, to be honest. I'm just going to plant my knight on E5 and then go for F4. And boom. And I'm going to win, probably. Hopefully, I don't know. Let's go F4. Bam. Just go for an insane kingside attack. I'm really starting to feel that this insane kingside attack isn't going to be that insane. I feel like I'm going to lose. Insanely horrible kingside attack. What was I thinking about? I don't know. Okay, I just completely messed up this game while trying to do an insane kingside. Okay, okay, my mind's not really operating. I guess we got the bad side of the mirror. Okay, I'm just gonna resign. So hopefully Lichess doesn't send me a sandbagging message like they did 3 times during that tournament. 3 times they sent me a sandbagging message. I don't know what they were thinking. Okay, I'm bad. And, okay, I get it, like Lichess, you think I'm bad. But, like, okay, so looks like we got the bad side of the marathon. Luck or curse? I don't know. So we'll stop here for today before I go on tilt and lose 5,000 rating. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. And hope you have a good day. And see you in the next one. Bye. And get out of here.